You're watching a game. One team has the ball, and they keep the ball. 10 passes, 20 passes, 30 passes. The other team barely touches it. It looks like one team is completely dominating. Then the match ends. And somehow, the team with less possession wins. How? If you've ever watched soccer and thought, wait, I thought the other team was better. You're not alone. Because the team that looks better isn't always the team that's actually playing better. And the reason usually comes down to one thing: tactics. Now, when people hear the word tactics, they imagine something complicated. Whiteboards, arrows, coaches drawing mysterious diagrams. But most soccer tactics can be explained with a single question. How do we control space better than the other team? That's it. Because soccer isn't really about the ball. The ball just tells you where the action is happening. The real game is happening in the space around it. And once you understand that, you'll start seeing soccer completely differently. Let's start with a simple example. Imagine you're playing soccer in your backyard. 10 players all run toward the ball. Nobody spreads out. Nobody stays wide. Nobody drops back. What happens? The field suddenly feels tiny. Everyone is standing on top of each other. Nobody has room to pass. Nobody has room to run. The game becomes messy. Now imagine the opposite. Players spread out. Some stay wide. Some stay deeper. Some move between defenders. Suddenly the field feels huge. Passing becomes easier. Attacking becomes easier. Everything becomes easier. Nothing changed about the players. The space changed. That's the first big lesson. The best teams in the world aren't always the fastest, or the strongest, or even the most talented. They're often the teams that use space the best. Let's look at a real example. The 2022 World Cup. Spain against Morocco. If you only looked at possession, you'd think Spain was winning comfortably. Spain had the ball almost the entire match. They completed hundreds of passes. Morocco spent long stretches defending. But Morocco had a plan. They stayed compact. They stayed organized. They protected the middle of the field. Spain kept moving the ball, but they couldn't find space. And without space, all those passes didn't mean much. After 120 minutes, Spain was out. Morocco was through. That's one of the biggest lessons in modern soccer. Having the ball is useful, but controlling space is even more important. Now let's look at the opposite example. Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. Sometimes City look unfair. It feels like they always have an extra player. Every time someone receives the ball, there's another passing option. And another. And another. The field looks huge. Meanwhile, the other team looks exhausted. Like they're chasing shadows. Did City secretly put 12 players on the field? No. They're creating space. Their players constantly move. Not randomly. On purpose. One player moves wide. A defender follows. That creates space in the middle. Another player moves into that space. Now someone else is open. It's like watching a puzzle constantly rearrange itself. The goal isn't just to move the ball. The goal is to move defenders. Because when defenders move, gaps appear. And gaps create chances. This brings us to one of the most important ideas in soccer. Overloads. Don't worry. The word sounds complicated. The idea isn't. Imagine 3 attackers against 2 defenders. Who has the advantage? The attackers. They have an extra player. Now imagine 4 attackers against 3 defenders. Same story. The attackers have an extra option. The attackers have more passing angles. The attackers have more ways to escape pressure. That's called an overload. The best teams in the world are constantly trying to create them. Not everywhere. Just in important areas. If you ever hear a commentator say a team has numerical superiority, that's what they mean. More players in a specific area than the opponent. It's one of the simplest tactical advantages in soccer, and one of the most powerful. Now let's talk about formations, because formations are really just tools for controlling space. Remember those numbers? 4-3-3, 4-4-2, 4-2-3-1. They're not magic. They're just different ways of organizing players. A 4-3-3 naturally creates width. The wingers stay wide. The field stretches. Defenders have more ground to cover. A 4-4-2 is usually more compact. The team stays organized. The distances between players stay small. A 4-2-3-1 creates balance. Enough players to attack. Enough players to defend. Different formations solve different problems. But they're all trying to do the same thing. Control space. Now here's something that surprises a lot of new fans. The formation you see before kickoff often disappears after the game starts. Seriously, a team might be listed as a 4-3-3. 5 minutes later, it barely looks like a 4-3-3 at all. Why? Because players move. Fullbacks push forward. Midfielders drop deeper. Wingers move inside. Strikers drift wide. Soccer is fluid. The formation is just the starting shape. Think of it like chess. The pieces start in the same places every game, but nobody expects them to stay there. Now let's talk about pressing, because this is where modern soccer gets really interesting. Imagine someone steals your wallet. You don't wait 30 seconds before reacting. You react immediately. That's pressing. The moment a team loses the ball, they try to win it back. Some teams do this aggressively. Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp became famous for it. Lose the ball. Attack immediately. Pressure immediately. Force mistakes immediately. The idea is simple. If you win the ball back quickly, the opponent never gets comfortable. They never get organized. They never get control. Other teams take a different approach. They fall back. Stay compact. Protect dangerous spaces. Wait for mistakes. Neither strategy is automatically better. They're just different solutions to the same problem. How do we stop the other team from creating chances? And this leads to another important idea. Shape. Commentators love this word. Good shape. Bad shape. Lost their shape. What does it actually mean? Think about a flock of birds. They move together. Not perfectly, but together. If one bird changes direction, the others adjust. Soccer teams work the same way. When one player presses, teammates move with him. When one defender steps forward, others adjust around him. The team stays connected. Good shape means players support each other. Bad shape means gaps appear. And soccer players love gaps. Because gaps become opportunities. And opportunities become goals. Now let's put everything together. Imagine you're watching a match. One team keeps creating open players. They always seem available for a pass. They move together. They stay organized. They create overloads. They control space. The other team is constantly reacting, constantly chasing, constantly arriving a second too late. That's usually why one team looks better. Not because they're running harder. Not because they want it more. Because they're controlling space better. And soccer is often a game of small advantages. One extra passing option. One open lane. One defender pulled slightly out of position. One moment of hesitation. At the highest level, that's enough. World Cups have been decided by smaller margins than that. So here's the big picture. Tactics aren't magic. They're not secret formulas. They're not something only coaches understand. At their core, tactics are about solving one problem. How do we create more space for ourselves? And less space for the other team? Everything else comes from that. Formations. Pressing. Movement. Shape. Overloads. All of it. The next time you watch a game, don't just follow the ball. Watch the space around it. Watch which team is creating options. Watch which team is forcing the other to react. You'll start seeing things most casual fans miss. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Soccer suddenly makes a lot more sense. That's tactics. Done. See you in the next one.